Coming up in this episode, we talk dirty things with Sloan Cox. Grant Dalton from Team New Zealand gets schooled, and we hear from an upset Australian.
Welcome to the first ever full-on actual non-teaser episode. Oh my goodness, it's actually happening. CRC Speedshow TV. He's Sooty, I'm Dave. Really good to catch up with you. I hope you've had a good couple of weeks or so. So, in our first little teaser show, we touched on electric racing.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, something that a few people went, eh?
Yeah.
Electric racing, it's a thing. It's one of those things that we're just going to be dragged into, unfortunately. Well, maybe I'll leave the opinions to you, perhaps. Ferrari, they're going to make an electric supercar to take on Tesla. Wow, that's something. You know, the whole eco-friendly thing.
Look, they've already started. They made a hybrid called La Ferrari, and they stated a long, long time ago they would never go fully electric. They lied.
Yeah, and you know what, to quote them, if there is an electric supercar to be built, then Ferrari will be the first.
And if it's absolute crap, they're going to launch it into space.
Ba-dum-bum.
Speaking of crap, because this could upset the Holden people, the Australian Supercars gets underway in the first weekend of March at the Adelaide 500. The problem is they're not actually Holdens anymore, they're Opals. We all know that, we understand it, but there's a lot of denial going on from the Australian fans predominantly, or actually probably a lot of the New Zealand Holden fans as well. They are going to be upset one day because I'm thinking that the powers to be one day will say, no more Holden, it's all going to be Opal. And yeah, the Ford fans will be like, yeah, their care factor is about this big, and the Holden fans are going to start crying. Just be ready for it, just saying.
There's not enough Ford fans to really warrant any kind of issue, though.
You can't say that.
Can we not?
No.
Can we edit that?
No, talk about the next stuff.
So, over the weekend, Bay Park was home to the New Zealand Extreme Motorsport Series, round 2, and we couldn't make it, unfortunately. I'm not even going to ask what this guy was up to. I had prior engagements and things, walking dogs and whatever. But our good friends at Oversteer TV went and had a catch up with rallyman Sloan Cox. Here we go.
Cheers, guys. We're here with Sloan Cox at the NZ Extreme Motorsport Series. He's like beating it out there in his Evo. And mate, how are you loving it out there?
It's wicked fun. Round 2 here of the Rallycross. Just as cool as the Wellington round, and I can't wait to get more racing in.
Now, a couple of years ago, Ron Dixon tried to bring the Rallycross back. He had major issues with the venue, but it was a start, of course, bringing the sport to New Zealand. Now, Brendan from NZ Extreme is trying to do the same thing. Comparing the two, do you think there's a future for this type of racing in New Zealand?
Yeah, there's definitely a future for Rallycross in New Zealand. It was always going to be hard for anyone to start off in New Zealand because it's such a small country. Everywhere else in the world does it, and it is big and it takes off. But even with a lot of other motorsports, it struggles really to take off here. Someone really has to push it. What Ron Dixon brought 2 years ago was an awesome start, and from a driving side of things, it was still wicked, and I wanted to come back, but he tried it and we didn't quite fig with it, and it didn't work out. The track was too soft because they had the jet sprints here, different things like that. And I was hoping he'd bring it back, but he just struggled so much. Now that Extreme Motorsport Series have got it back again, it's wicked, and I want to support it and make it get big here. And it's awesome that it's on a weekend where there's drifting on, the UTVs, Supermoto, everything's on this one weekend. I reckon that's really going to help the growth of the Rallycross. and hopefully it gets to a point where it can be its own weekend. But for now, really kicking off, it's going to be good having these other disciplines. So I reckon it's going to get big here in New Zealand as well.
So in terms of New Zealand motorsport, obviously we're quite synonymous. If you're a motorsport fan in New Zealand, we're quite synonymous with rallying, Boston-born legends like that.
Yep.
But bringing it to the stadium, the atmosphere, I mean, it's big in Europe, and this kind of leads into this. I mean, the FI Rallycross, they're going to electric in 2020. I mean, what's your thoughts on this? The way motorsport is heading, are we going to be racing electric cars if they're quick and reliable? Is that something that you'd be, is that up your alley?
Yeah, electric's always going to be a thing that's going to take off all around the world. They've already started with circuit racing, so for FIA Rallycross to want to move there too, it doesn't amaze me. I reckon electric's actually an awesome thing. It doesn't sound as cool, and the atmosphere is not as cool, but from racing side, I think it's going to be wicked, and if I had a chance again to one, I wouldn't say no. It is the way of the future. Sadly, the engine noises are going to go, but it is the way of the future, so I'd happily get into one of those.
I'm sure we could just put some big subs and speakers in the boot, couldn't we? Just get some sound going. Obviously, heading back into rallying, in terms of rallycross, are there any different sets of skills compared to what you do on the gravel in the bush and the forests coming to sort of a stadium arena here?
Yeah, it's very, very different in the way that senior car for rallying is gravel based only when it's a gravel rally, so it's set up just for that. When you come into an arena like this, you've got mixed surfaces, so you don't necessarily want a soft car like you would in rally, you want something that will work on the tarmac as well. When it comes down to tyres, we're running on tyres this year, of course, so gravel tyres this year because it's what we know, but in overseas I run like an intermediate tyre. Of course you are mixed surfaces, so to get the best out of both surfaces you really need your car set up right. And when it comes to driving style, it's not all about getting the grip on gravel. Your car's going to move around a lot different on the tarmac, so you really got to get your head around how the car's going to handle on these mixed surfaces, and a lot tighter. There are hay bales around for protecting stuff, so it has very different, but it's wicked to change across the rallycross now.
And what's next in terms of rallying for you?
This year we want to be a big year for us, especially with the rallycross now in New Zealand. We're looking more at the rallycross path. It's something I've always wanted to convert to because it's my driving style. I love being a showman, doing show for the crowd, but also the mixed services is what I love. So this year we're really looking at rallycross and where in the world can we go. We want to get out of New Zealand. I love rallying, it is my background, but my career needs to go somewhere different, I think, and I'm a showman, so we're looking at openings overseas.
And are there any hints to that? Any places in particular?
Europe is always the ideal place to go. Any driver I see in any discipline, especially rallying, Europe drivers are so fast, so if you want to be competitive anywhere in the world, you've got to start with Europe. So that's definitely where we're looking right now. We're talking with some teams right now about what we can do, but also I haven't gone about the American market. America's quite big and making sport blow up and athletes blow up, so we're looking there as well, but mainly the Europe first. So we are talking to some teams, so looking positive for Cox Motorsport.
Alright, and we talk about rallying in general. I mean, how strong is the sport here in New Zealand?
Rallying is massive in New Zealand. Like, we got quick drivers, and when other drivers come here, they can't believe how fast New Zealand is. Just a hard thing for us, it was so far away, so any step for any driver to get overseas, your budget's got to increase by sometimes 5 times the amount, and for New Zealand to do that, we struggle. Sponsorship's not as here in big companies as it is overseas, so...
Do you think we punch above our weight? I mean, I think Kiwis do across all motorsport, don't they?
We definitely do, and every New Zealand pushes so hard against each other. We keep evolving so fast in our own country. But when other people try and come here, they're like, how are they so fast? Like, where does it come from? And that's because we push each other so hard. We do punch above our weight.
All right, well, that's all from Sloan Cox here, the NZXMS Motorsport Series. It's been awesome to catch up with you, and good luck for the rest of the weekend.
Thank you so much. Can't wait to get more racing up.
All right, cheers. Back to you guys in the studio.
Awesome to hear from Sloan Cox there, and I do wish him well for the rest of his rallying season, which is almost, actually it's underway now. So he's got a lot of work to do though, because there are some serious competitors now in the New Zealand rally scene. It's really cool. Hey, we're going to have a new feature coming up. Dave and I have been having a chit chat about how we could challenge some of the more important people in New Zealand. Not maybe celebrity, I don't like the word celebrity.
No, there are none in New Zealand.
No, but people that we know who absolutely know nothing about cars though. I don't want to put drivers in. We want to challenge, right?
Totally.
Yeah, we want to challenge people. So we had a chat to our buddies at Formula E, the electric indoor karting, and they're up for this. We're going to have a chat. In fact, if you want to tell us who you'd like to see do this challenge, send us an email. We'll put the contact details up later on in the show. But we're going to put these people into karts, is what we've decided, and make them do a time trial through the Formula E circuit. and then we'll probably, if things go well, get them to the actual speed show event in July and make them do their challenge again, maybe the top 2 or something.
Yeah.
Up against you.
We've obviously got more work to do on this, and think Jerry Brownlee.
Really? What about Judith Collins?
No, she'd probably crush the cart.
Oh, good point. So anyway, you tell us who you would like to see in this Formula E challenge. We'll be up for that, and we'll get hold of them and see if they're willing to do it.
Doesn't necessarily need to be political either.
No.
While that is funny,
Yes.
yes, to a degree, yeah, it doesn't have to be.
But we don't want drivers, because drivers have done this a lot. We know race car drivers from different codes. We don't want that. We want other people, and we'll give them a challenge and make them look really stupid on this show. That's really important that we do that.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah. Now, tech sections. We're also going to do tech sections throughout this series, and there has been a lot of innovations going on in the motorsport world. I caught up with a couple of the lads from the Central Muscle Cars because they have come up with a world first. Well, actually, it's a world second, because they have now advanced the cool suit in a race car. Check this out.
So here we are down in Canterbury, Ruapuna. Now, when racing gets hot, you need to be cooled down. Now, nothing beats having a good cool suit. There's only a couple of guys here in Central Muscle Cars that run cool suits, Grant Dalton and Clark Coxons. But we've seen some innovation coming from the Great West, up in West Auckland there, and from the Cam Crawford. Now, if we just come around and watch Cam Crawford's latest technology and cool suit stuff, it's called the Elite Pack.
The Elite Pack. Thank you, Mr. Steve Noy. Well, we've put a lot of effort into this, mate. We've got to be thinking about those members that can't afford those, very, very expensive cool suits. So we need a new style, and I'm going to call this the Westie style cool suit. And I just can you just see the word elite? And I think if you're wearing this cool suit, it's a bit like you feel like a bit of an elite sportsman, Mr. Steve Noyan.
Well, I'm just looking at the suit too, and it looks like one size fits all. So it's not like you have to go out and buy a fitted suit. This is a one size fits all, Cameron.
And look, and now some people have questioned, what do I do about my head? And I know a certain one of those two members that you talked about earlier had a few problems with his head. Now, Del Boy, can you just pass? I just want to show a little. This is a recent innovation, and I call this the Clark Hopkins Special. You must have an elite pack, very important, the elite pack. Ready? You right?
Yeah. Well,
ready to go racing?
That is fantastic.
I'm ready.
Now, do you want to go? Should we go and see if we can sell that to Mr. Grant Dalton? And it would save him a lot of money.
I think we should try. Let's go and see Mr. Dalton.
Let's go and have a look.
Let's have a look. I'll follow you, Mr. Noel.
You come out in the morning and you're liable to...
Now, Grant, can we have a couple of words here? We've just been talking about...
Oh, God, I'm so cold. Have you got a jacket?
Hang on, they don't look... You sure you haven't got something you pull the pin and you explode?
Elite. You like that? Dolt? Elite?
It's nice, mate.
Thank you, mate. And
you're going to need a lot of those to go around that bloody guts, though, mate.
Actually, I was inspired by you, mate, because you said the word... When he actually said to me a week or so back, when he offered to be my personal trainer, and the first thing he said was, you need to tape your bloody gob up. And I thought, tape? Because I couldn't think of how I could get my suit going. So thank you, mate.
No, but personally, I think you need to make those hot packs, not cold packs, mate, if you're going to get rid of that guts.
But you haven't shown Grant the innovation of the helmet.
The Clark Hopkins Special. Well, you ready? You ready for this, mate?
That's
just
nice.
For you.
That's
Clark,
nice.
This is inspired by Clark.
That's nice.
Ready?
No, mate.
Oh, she's mine. I think my head's shrinking.
I like that. That is an innovation. That is a very, very nice innovation.
Thank you.
And there you go. One size fits all.
Well done, mate.
Thank you, mate.
I wouldn't walk around like that for too long, mate. You might find yourself in the back of a police car. Well, actually, no. Pulled along behind the back of a police car.
Central Muscle, innovation is us.
What a guy. Cam Crawford.
He's a legend. He is a legend of epic proportions, isn't he?
Where do we get them from? No, seriously.
Look, I can probably get my people to talk to your people.
Yeah, do they take checks?
Yeah, I'm sure he'll take a check.
Yeah, okay.
Really.
Your vid, it's something that we're going to do, and boy, have we got a rant of epic proportions for you this week. I think it comes from Australia, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, and we're better to get a rant from than Australia. His name's Matt, he's a diesel mechanic, and he is pissed. Really pissed. Have a look at this.
G'day guys, it's Matt here for the Bailey's Diesel Group. There's a rant coming and I'm sorry for that, but it is Valentine's Day and I am left heartbroken. We have just watched the Super Utes, the diesel Super Utes that I am an absolute avid diesel performance fan, I am an avid motorsport fan, and I am left brokenhearted on Valentine's Day thanks to Super Utes because they look like shit. Let's be honest, I was the one defending the series, I was the one going, yeah, we'd be interested to be involved and all the rest of that sort of shit, but we've just watched them go around the track at Queensland Raceway on YouTube. They look slower than a wet week, and I'd rather watch bloody paint dry, if I'm being honest. Hopefully the racing is good, they've got some great drivers and the cars look reasonably palatable, but I mean, when you're black at fucking lap times 5 minutes, what's the fucking point? I can't believe that they created a series in the way that they did. The cost of running the series is ridiculous, and they could almost double the power output of these engines by like adding 10 grand to the cost, which is like 2%, right? We know from enough diesel tuners that a change in turbocharger and fuel injection system, because they've already changed every other fucking thing on there, they've got ECUs and everything else they need to control that, would make a massive difference to the power output and the torque and the way that the power is delivered, which would be much more user-friendly on a racetrack because it would push the shit way up the top end of the RPM curve. What they're doing is absolutely crazy, and furthermore, I mean, the things sound like crap too. How hard is it to put an exhaust on these things? At the end of the day, what we're seeing is a bunch of business people that have made PC commercial decisions that are catering to the masses in a motorsport environment where we all know motorsport is about enthusiasts and people like me, and at the end of the day, they've catered to the people who don't give a shit at the expense of the people who do. So, mate, we're massively disappointed down here, so much so, I'm going to whack 20 grand on it. We've got a little Rodeo here that we use for work. Single cab, we're going to spend 20 grand on that, which is probably like a sixth or a seventh of what these guys have spent building these cars. And we're going to build what we think should have been built in the first place, or close enough to it anyway, so you guys can get an idea of what the performance is. So that's going to take us a couple of months, but we're pissed off enough to go and do it. Show these guys what a lap time can look like. And Jesus Christ, blow a little bit of fucking smoke. Like, how hard is it just to have a little bit of enthusiasm, you know? Anyway, that's our rant over and done with. Thank you.
How awesome is that guy? Yeah, that guy is awesome, and we are going to stay in contact with him and see if he actually goes through with his serious option of spending 20k to do what he thinks supercars should have done with the Super Utes.
God, can we actually?
Yeah, I'm hoping he can do it.
Now, speaking of following up on things, we need to do some more research on something that's just arrived here in the mailbag.
Oh, mailbag.
Yeah. Now, you haven't seen that. No, you haven't seen this. Can I read this verbatim?
Sure.
Okay, word for word. Here we go. Excuse me for not looking down the barrel of the camera. Dear Sooty, it's a great start. Oh my goodness. You are the sexiest short person I know. If I ever need my jets tweaked or my lug nuts checked, I'm going to message you first. Lots of love. ... Michael. What the? I don't even. Have you been paying people? What do you know this guy?
The good news is, I don't want to talk to you anymore. The good news is,
don't shoot the messenger.
I also was checking the mailbag, and you've obviously grabbed that one before I could clear it out of the cache.
It was in spam.
And I went and visited some experts because we had a proper letter come through. Have a look. That's right, it's a service we provide, this mailbag, and a technical question came through during the week, and it was all about brakes. And I thought to myself, I know nothing about brakes, but I know the guys who do. So I've come to Race Brakes, and this is Rob. And Rob, here is the question. Are you ready for this?
Sure.
Okay. Hi lads, I have a Mitsubishi Evo road and track car. I've been having issues with brake fade, and a few of my mates tell me as well as pads and rotors I need to sort the brake fluid. I didn't know there was much difference. Can you advise please? Cheers, Jace. Can you advise please?
That's a piece of cake. I'll just go and get some stuff.
I like this guy. Yeah, just won't be long. And here we are back again. Now, he's pretty quick, and this is the stuff you've brought us, Rob. You've got 4 bottles. I've got no idea of the basics. What's the answer for Jace?
Okay, well, this is our standard product.
Right.
This would be good for a street car. So it's dot 5.1. Now, if he's got, and a lot of people would have, not thinking about it, a standard 5.1 in a race car, he's probably overheating the brake fluid. So it goes to boiling point, it starts to vaporise, the pedal goes soft, if not to the floor. You could end up in a world of trouble.
Okay.
So what he probably wants to do is he needs to find something that'll take a hotter degree. That's where these ones come in.
So it's all temperature rated.
That's
purely, it's not a different fluid, it's just purely the temperatures.
Temperature rated. Temperature rated.
Okay, so You got 3 bottles, I assume then 3 temperatures, right?
Correct, yeah. 312 degrees, 325, 340 being the big boy.
Okay then, I like to try and catch these experts out. How do you know which one how do I know, or how will Jace know, which temperature one he needs?
He would have to calculate or find out what kind of temperature his brakes are putting out. So there's a couple of ways of doing it. During a race meeting,
yes,
he could slap a heat gun onto it, onto the disc
okay.
rotor.
Yeah,
that'll tell him.
Pull the trigger.
Yep.
Yes, next.
Definitely, a bit like VO supercars.
Yeah.
Or you can buy a heat paint kit.
Yes.
You put the 3 different colour stripes onto your disc rotor.
Yes.
And it changes colour dependent on the temperature rating that your car is producing. Then you would have an idea of what to use.
If you've got to replace all the fluid in your car, that you've really just got to do it properly, bleed every single corner, pump it all through.
Yes.
Okay. So you don't just put this in as an additive?
No, you need to flush it through first. So you'd want to have, if you were just simply changing it, and want to flush the whole system through, you'd need 2 of these bottles, which would be 1 litre.
This is why I came to Race Brakes. You see, they know the answer, Jace. They know the answer to this. So you're probably using that. You'll probably need that. You maybe need that. And because you're not a supercar or a super tourer or a big flash Ferrari going around the track, you probably won't need that. But maybe you should just buy that one anyway.
Hey, if you got the money, why not?
That's the mailbag for this week. There we go.
Nice. Nice shirt too, mate. Jace, hopefully that answers your question. Race Brakes. If you want to get in touch with them, they're in Kingsland and Auckland, and just find their details online. You're not daft. Now, if you want to find our details, or you want to get hold of our details so you can make contact with us, maybe you've got a question because this fella, or me, maybe if I get let out, can go and find the answers for you. Just get in contact with us. And same for shed visits. We would very much like to arrange that as well. The details are right behind me here. See that? Speedshow at speedshow.co.nz.
This is why he's paid the big dollars for information like that. Videos as well. We want to see your video. Hey, if you've got a rant and you're willing to put it through like Matt the Australian, send it, we'll check it, and we may air it. Or if you've got something cool to show us, if you've been to an event, if you've been to a car show, if you've been to an engine reconditioner, whatever it is that you think might be worthy to go on Speedshow TV, send it through to us. Here are the rules. Make sure it is landscape, not portrait. Please make sure it's not shaky, because then we'll get all dizzy and upset, and your audio's got to be pretty good as well. The contact details are there for you to send it through to us. And finally, here's some cool news for those of you down the central North Island, or anywhere really if you're willing to travel. There's racing this weekend at Mansfield, and it's free entry.
Eh?
Yeah, I know. It's unheard of in New Zealand. It's unheard of, but Mansfield have opened the gates to all spectators for free. That's this coming weekend, and it should be a great event.
Hopefully that's kind of like they start a bit of a trend there.
Oh, wouldn't that be good if everyone did that? Yeah, then you might actually stop being a tightwad and go to some events as well. Hey, that's it for us for this episode. Thanks very much for joining us. We're back in a fortnight. You're coming back, yeah?
Yeah, I suppose.
All right, we'll see you in a fortnight then. Bye.